Since the release of its first season back in 2017, it didn't take long for Riverdale to become one of the best teen dramas in CW history. And with an impressive cast coupled with some of the craziest twists around, it's really no wonder season 6 was so anticipated. But what should Riverdale fans know about the latest installment, and how is it set to tackle the Sabrina controversy? For all this and more, stay tuned. First of all, why would Season 6 have to address this controversy at all? Well, it all started when rumors began to surface about where Riverdale was actually heading in Season 6. Somewhere down the line, talk around town was that Kiernan Shipka would be reprising her role as Sabrina Spellman, the friendly neighborhood witch from the CW sister show, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. A pretty crazy rumor considering how the 4th season of the show brought an end to the teenage witch, literally spelling the end for the franchise. That being said, it made sense that Riverdale would bring Shipka in at some point. She was a fantastic character after all. And Sabrina Spellman as a character would always feature in the Archie comics, at one point even serving as a love interest for the lovable redhead. But the introduction of the character would be quite difficult considering the controversy that her final episode introduced into the world. You see, in the final moments of the show, Sabrina's love interest Nick actually ended up taking his own life so that he could join Sabrina in the afterlife. As you're all well aware of by now, Netflix doesn't have the greatest of records when it comes to the portrayal of suicide. Just ask 13 Reasons Why. Suffice to say, the final episode of the season had fans of the show up in arms, claiming that the showrunners didn't have to glorify suicide in an attempt to show just how much Nick actually cared for Sabrina. It's for this reason that Riverdale had to mend things. And according to Kiernan Shipka, her appearance will certainly address the controversy. She actually spoke to Decipher a few weeks ago and mentioned that while she is still a bit unclear as to where Nick is at the moment, Sabrina is most definitely back in the thick of things. And this is somewhat possible because of the magic that courses through her veins. You see, witches can never really die, which is something we think Riverdale is going to make clear as the season runs its course. In Shipka's own words, there is no death for witches, only transformation. If this is true, it means that Nick didn't really take his life in an effort to be with Sabrina. He went to the same school as her after all, and learned everything he possibly could about being a warlock. As such, we assume that death wouldn't be the end for him either. It's a lot easier to forgive the showrunners of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina for Nick signing himself up for a transformation rather than a quick death after all. This doesn't completely mend the glorification that the CW gave to his suicide at the end of the 4th season, but it serves as an excuse for those who were on the fence about whether they should watch Sabrina in action once more because of what previously happened. Thing is, we doubt Nick will be coming back anytime soon, especially if the showrunners are eyeing Sabrina and Archie as the latest couple, so we doubt the controversy will be over completely. Next up, we have to talk about Jughead's major sacrifice. With everything coming back to life in the latest episode, we couldn't blame you for not paying attention to Jughead's own memories of the explosion that blew Archie's home to Kingdom Come. Seems like nothing more than a reminder after all. At least it did until fans started to realize that the explosion never actually took place in the universe our favorite cast members currently find themselves in. Soon it became pretty obvious that Jughead was in some kind of a dream world, where Archie and Betty were now getting married and somehow Dr. Curdle was looking at his corpse. Things then get incredibly meta as Jughead reads some Archie comics that dictate what actually happened in his own universe. What follows is a ridiculous adventure in which the audience is introduced to some colorful characters like JJ, who never really made an impact early on in the franchise. Fast forward a couple of deaths later and we realize that Archie is the big bad of this universe and has actually been killing characters off in an attempt to get another chance with his dad. An absolute mess of a universe, and ends up culminating in two Jugheads who both want to stop their current universe from feeding off the other Riverdale. And so one of them decides to stay behind and write on behalf of the universe, fueling it with the power of imagination. As long as the heartthrob keeps typing in isolation, they'll all be safe. How did Cole actually feel about this episode though, and which was his worst to film? In an interview with Cole Sprouse a few days ago, who is probably best known for his portrayal of the loyal Jughead, the actor admitted that this 100th episode of Riverdale was actually his favorite. Although it boggled his mind from the first script read, he knew that it was an episode that would introduce some incredible imagery, like the portrayal of Jughead with his literal crown from the comic books. That being said, there was another episode that really drove Sprouse up the wall when it came to filming, and according to him, this was the storyline that started off in episode 319 of the franchise titled Fear the Reaper. For those of you who don't remember, this was the episode where Jughead's mother ended up in a ninja battle where she needed to use Psy to protect herself. That wasn't the only crazy thing about the episode though. The fight was actually taking place in a board game-like scenario against Penny Peabody for the life of Jughead's younger sister as well. You'd think that Sprouse's problem with the episode is how crazy and unrealistic it was, but this is Riverdale we're talking about, where the cast members are pretty much used to crazy at this point. True reason why he sees this episode as his least favorite is that he actually had no idea how to react to what was happening to Jughead at that moment. There was just so much going on psychologically. But if Madeline Pesh is to be believed, the audience should get some clarity soon. When talking to E! News just before the release of the 100th Riverdale episode, the incredible charmer who portrays Cheryl Blossom on the show spoke up about how confusing the franchise has been so far. In the past few years, the audience and cast members have had to deal with everything from parallel universes to supernatural forces such as witchcraft. A massive leap from what we were all used to when it came to Archie and his football friends protecting the town from a serial killer. But Madeline Pesh has assured fans that things are going to get clearer in time, and that everything we're experiencing at the moment is supposed to be confusing, as it relays how the characters of the show are also feeling at the moment. When referring to the 100th episode, Pesh also teased how some forgotten alumni of the show would be returning, and that by the end of the episode, things would be somewhat resolved. For more clarity though, we'd have to wait for the continuation of the 6th season, which she mentioned will dive into some pretty crazy story arcs that have the effect of really bringing it all together. In other words, if you're feeling confused about the state of Riverdale right now, you're not the only one. In fact, you're experiencing the show the way you're supposed to. So be prepared for an exciting aha moment coming months. When will Riverdale be making its return to the CW though? We hope you've realized that Riverdale is on a bit of a break at the moment, with the 101 first episode only set to grace our screens sometime next year. And if this is the first time hearing about this, we're sorry to have to break the news to you this way, but as we mentioned earlier, the remainder of the 6th season is set to be a real banger, so we definitely have some rather impressive things to look forward to. And we suppose it's best to spend time with family over the holidays as opposed to spending time with Archie and friends. So when will Riverdale actually be coming back? Well, unfortunately for fans, the wait is going to be quite a long one. The season is set to return come March 6th next year, leaving a wait of over 2 months. It's not ideal, but they say that absence makes the heart grow fonder, so we'll have to see how it goes. And there you have it, everything you need to know about everyone's favorite teenage drama. What did you think of the way the showrunners tackled the Sabrina controversy though? What are you expecting from the rest of season 6? Be sure to let us know in the comments section down below.